Hello. You might think the career of a jockey is a pretty glamorous existence, and for some of them it is, especially those who have associations with those great racehorses. But for a large majority of jockeys, they ply their trade in the country and provincial circuits. One such jockey is Andrew Gibbons. Recently at Newcastle, his home track, Andrew rode a career best of 4 wins in one day. I sat down and had a chat with Andrew recently. Also found out he was pretty handy in his day with a pair of boxing gloves in the boxing ring. Andrew Gibbons, welcome.
Thanks, Steve.
Andrew, I had a chat to Jeff Challen and his good wife Kathy recently. They told me of an incident when they went to a property owned by Doug Williams and they saw a young 12-year-old kid walk around on a pony, and Jeff Challen happened to ask Doug, who was the kid out in the paddock? It happened to be you.
Yeah, I think that might have been Alan Robinson's engagement party. I think they were all out for that. Dad was good friends with Doug and used to get out there and help him feed his horses, look after his horses. And when I showed the interest in riding, Dad had a friend who lent us a pony, and Doug let me keep it there, and I'd just go out every afternoon after school or weekends and rip him up the paddock and basically taught myself to ride up there.
But Jeff Challen had a sharp eye on you too, because he said that you looked pretty good in the saddle even at a young age then.
Yeah, it's nice to know that guys like that were picking things up early on. So it was a big help just being out there doing my own thing and making the mistakes and learning from them, and I picked it up pretty quick.
So from a young age it was your dream to ride?
Yeah, well, Dad got me into it. He had a bit of an interest himself when he was younger, rode a bit of work when he was a young fella in Scotland, and then when he came here, he obviously with Doug and a few other people, he helped out and he'd take us to the races. My dream was to be a soccer player, but by the time I was getting to 12 and 13, I was getting left out of the rep teams because of my size, and I got a bit disheartened with that, so looked for a new path, and I had a love for racing, so got into it that way. But
I mentioned in my intro to this interview that you're pretty handy with a set of gloves in the boxing ring. So was there ever a decision that had to be made between riding and in the boxing ring?
Oh, not really, because as much as I loved the boxing, it was just something I sort of fell into. A good mate of mine growing up, who his father was a professional fighter before we were born, and I used to play soccer with him, and he convinced me to go training with him one day and absolutely loved it. But although it's something I loved, I was probably a bit smart enough to know that it's not something you want to make a living out of, especially if you're not good enough. But I was lucky enough that I had a bit of success as an amateur fighter, and come the end of year 10, I didn't have any interest in getting back to school, so racing was always going to be it for me.
And you landed at the stables of Noel Mayfield-Smith at Newcastle.
Yeah, Dad actually approached Johnny Deemer, who he just sort of met through people, and asked John where a good place to be would for a young person to start. And at the time, Noel had just had a bit of success with Angst. He was the trainer on the rise, and obviously had a great racing family background, Noel, and so he suggested that we go to Noel. So Dad and myself went to Noel and seen him, and he was happy to take me on, and I started off there. And you
had a bit of time with Brian Guy at Rose Hill?
Yeah, I'd done 2 years with Noel, and when he moved to Hawkesbury, I went there for a couple of months, and then Darren Boobman actually suggested me I should have a go in town to see if that would improve me. He thought I was at a stage where I needed to go somewhere else to improve, and he spoke to Brian Guy for me, and Brian was happy to take me on, so I went to Brian's after that.
And how did you feel the transition going from, say, Newcastle to Rose Hill?
Yeah, big difference, massive difference. Obviously the quality of horse was a lot better, and the way Brian ran his stable was very professional. He was always a top sort of 5-6 Sydney trainer, so Noel was very, very good at what he'd done, but it was just different lifestyle in the city.
Yep. He had a handy horse in his stable at that time, Ravada.
Yeah, good old horse. He won a couple of Group 1s for Ravada, and I actually rode him a fair bit of work, and I was lucky enough to have 2 race rides on him. Although it was both times I rode him, it was first up on probably days where he couldn't win. It was nice to ride a good horse in a group race.
Sure. Who did you look up to when you were in Sydney? I mean, the other riding ranks were full of talented riders, as they still are today.
At the time, Darren Boone was just so dominant. He just got on the best horses in Medley, but he just didn't make mistakes, and that was something I've always tried to base my career on, and where I think I've improved is not so much doing things that might make a difference. It's limiting the mistakes. If you can stay out of trouble in races, a lot of the time the best horse will win. And I think that was Darren's key attribute. He was just brilliant at keeping his horses balanced, out of trouble, flowing, breathing, and 9 times out of 10 he was on the best horse in the race, so they won.
Yep. You teamed up with Chris Lees. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, after I come out of my time, it's always going to be hard to make it in Sydney. And although I believed I could have made a bit of a fist of it, I didn't really like the lifestyle living in Sydney. I wanted to be back to Newcastle. I liked the lifestyle there. Family was there, so I moved back to here and went to the track. And at the time, Max was still live training, and there was a lot of little trainers in Newcastle then too that were very good to me. And so I just basically went and spread myself around there and had a little bit of success for Max. And then after his passing, when Chris took over and got bigger, he actually said to me one day that there's an opportunity there, but obviously his stable was building and he wanted someone young on the way through that could do a bit of riding for him. So I started doing more and more work for him and had success straight away, luckily, and just built from there.
Brilliant, brilliant. I've got you listed at around about 780, closing in on 1,000 wins in a career. That's a great achievement.
Yeah, that'd be about right. When I first came out of my time, I was sort of only averaging around the 30-40 mark. I was probably a victim of being able to ride light, which is great for your numbers wise, but the quality wasn't there, and I wasn't getting that amount of winners. But since linked up with Chris, I've been having 50 plus seasons, probably 5 or 6 seasons in a row, which has really built that number up.
Yep.
And as you say, we're getting close to the 1,000.
So the season that's just completed, was your equal second best with about 65 wins?
Yeah, that's right. The season before I had 79, but this season just gone, I had a bit more time off. I had 2 holidays. I normally have one a year, but I took an extra one early in this year because my 40th I thought was a good enough excuse to get away. And unfortunately, when I come back from the first holiday, I had an accident at Cessnock, my first ride back, and busted my foot up. So I was out for 7 weeks there. So might have spent sort of 10 to 12 weeks on the sidelines. So to get to 65, I was pretty happy with.
Excellent. Andrew, with over 10,000 rides in your career so far, how does your body cope with that sort of a stress?
I look after myself. I train, keep fit. Although a lot of the riding does keep you fit, I think a bit of training outside of that is very important. Some people sort of don't put enough emphasis on that, and you spend a lot of time sitting in the car, and it takes a lot of toll on your body. So the sharper and fitter you can keep yourself, the more you can handle that. Yep.
And recently, of course, at Newcastle was a pretty special moment for you with 4 wins in the day, and your son Dylan strapping the last winner for you.
Yeah, fantastic. Dylan's only just got involved in the racing industry. He's desperate to be a jockey, so he'd only started strapping a few horses before that, and just luckily enough, he was strapping one the last race of the day, and I'd had a fantastic day already leading up to it. I was 3 out of 3 coming to the last one, and managed to get the one home too. So it was my first full time, and it was Dylan's first time strapping a winner, so it was a great occasion.
And your mum and dad were there too to see you?
Mum and dad were there, and we all shared in the celebrations.
Outstanding. Well, Andrew, all I can say is best of luck for the future, and just going over your Golden Gloves record, 21 bouts for 17 wins. I'm pretty sure that there might have been a career in the ring for you at some time.
Yeah, possibly. And actually, when I won the Australian title, that was back in the it was just after the Sydney Olympics had been announced, and I was actually approached to go into a training camp, looking at fighting in the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. But it was probably only a couple of months after that when I got involved in the racing, and unfortunately, I couldn't follow it up.
Well, in the future, we might not only see the Schofields as a father and son combination, we might even see the Gibbonses as well. Best of luck.
Thanks, Steve.